Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about pros and cons of living in Hapeville, Georgia, which is, some people call it a borough. I think it's a neighborhood. Maybe it's a city. It's all the things. But Hapeville, just south of Atlanta, just north of the Atlanta International Airport. Let's talk about the 10 reasons why it may work and the 10 reasons why it may not work for you. Hi, this is Christa Coore-Powell, your Atlanta Property Pro. And we have lots of people reaching out all the time asking about moving to or moving around the city of Atlanta. If you have any questions or if I can help in any way, I would love to be able to help you. Please don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me a text message right here at this number. Proximity to Atlanta. If you want somewhere that's going to give you kind of that balance of just being south of downtown Atlanta, close to the airport, but you kind of want a quieter small town feel, that's going to be the number one pro about living in Hapeville. It's such a good balance of those two things. Smaller streets. You're going to see me here driving through, just kind of taking a look at what the neighborhood looks like. You would not know that you're as close to Atlanta as you are based on these videos, right? However, that can also be kind of a downside because you are literally next to the airport. So Delta's headquartered there, for example. And so that can be maybe a little bit noisy. Now, what I will say is I did a tour recently of a new construction property in Hapeville, and you guys can click this link right here to take a look at that video. And what you'll notice is when you're inside, you don't hear nothing. So as long as you have good windows, chances are it's going to be pretty quiet, even with planes and so on overhead. Upside of how homes built more recently would be that. And so that's definitely a con, is that you are close to the airport. So like if that's something that it may bug you. I don't know. Depends, right? Up to you, really. Now, when the pros is, it does have a really cute small town feel. You notice here as I'm driving through the streets of Hapeville that like there are all these cute little like independently owned restaurants and people are outside and you can walk to stuff and there's a fair amount of walkability, and that's a really, really nice feel. That's one of the things I love the most about Hapeville is that kind of vibe. And because not everything's super, super brand new, it's a little bit more quaint. It has a little bit more personality, and I'm 100% like on board for that. Now, because it's smaller, it's still growing. So you may not have access to like all the fanciest stores. Maybe things like some of your dining options, maybe you won't have as many, but that's gonna be for any smaller town, right? So just remember that downtown Atlanta, midtown Atlanta, which is generally where all like the cool restaurants and everything are, is not super far away. So, and Hapeville is pretty close to the interstate, so you're not looking at a terrible commute to get to any of that stuff. So that's definitely a little bit of a downside, that you may not have as many dining options, but they're not too far away. Now, affordability. Hapeville is definitely a little bit more affordable than some other parts of Atlanta, and that's because it's still kind of a developing area. And so that can definitely be very attractive to people. Now, part of the reason, and this is a down now, number 3 downside, is that there are a lot of industrial areas and industrial traffic, and that's just because of the proximity to the airport. Remember, again, we're dealing with the largest, busiest airport in the world. And so therefore you're dealing with a lot of volume of commercial traffic. So there's a lot that's happening in that space commercially, because they're all the businesses that support and are supported by the traffic that has to do with the airport, right? So that is definitely something to keep in mind, that you're gonna have proximity to industrial areas. Now, again, that kind of goes to the pro list. Number 4 on the pro list is going to be that proximity to the airport. If you are a road warrior, frequent traveler, airport employee, this is definitely a bonus, right? That you can have like a nice neighborhood that, you know, you feel safe and all that cool stuff that's so close to the airport. Or if you just like to travel a lot because that's your jam, again, you're gonna have that proximity to the airport. So cannot stress how nice it is to be that close to the largest, busiest airport, because you can catch a flight anywhere. And that's pretty nice. In my previous life, I was a road warrior, and let me tell you, I actually don't live in Hapeville, but I live right next to it. And let me just tell you that proximity to the airport makes such a big difference when you're traveling for work. So for people who live that kind of life, bless you. And just know that you can definitely find like a nicer place to live, new construction even, as you saw in my other video. That's gonna give you that vibe, right? That feel. But still close to the airport, so you're not having this massive commute if that's somewhere you need to be pretty frequently. So going back to like there being limited shopping and limited dining options, if you're trying to go clubbing, if you're trying to be like outside, Hapeville's not that spot. There are lots of cute little bars, but not that buzzing crazy nightlife where you're gonna go bar hop. That's not the vibe of Hapeville. And the vibe for that is not super far away. You're you know, if you're being responsible, you're catching an Uber, you're gonna have a designated driver, and you're gonna head to Midtown, you're gonna head to downtown. That's where all like the jiggy jams are. Did I just say jiggy jams? I said jiggy jams. Like I did. Okay, we're back. So I'm old, what? The purple hair is actually hiding things, guys. It's hiding my grays. So that may be something to keep in mind. So that's gonna be number 4 on our cons list. Now, if we're thinking about number 5 in terms of the pros, Hapeville is really cute and has a lot of personality, and there's a lot of art and culture like in that little area. So what you're gonna have in Hapeville is even in that little local area, there's farmers markets, there little festivals, really fun murals. So you're seeing all this really, there's a lot of creativity. It doesn't feel cookie cutter. There's definitely like a personality and a vibe, lots of different places to build community and for people to get to know each other. And there's a lot of history in that area. When you're thinking about things like, there's a Hapeville Museum, there's lots of different parks and beautiful buildings. So I think that really adds a lot to like the personality of the area. So culture, arts, you'll definitely find that in Hapeville. Now, number 5 on the cons list is going to be older housing stock. And again, so the same thing that kind of contributes to that cool vibesy feel and aesthetic is that you are oftentimes dealing with older housing stock. Now we're in a time in Atlanta in particular where a lot of older properties are being renovated and fixed up. And you guys know I love to talk about new construction, love to talk about new homes. I've been showing you new construction in Hapeville. You will get a lot of fix and flips. So there's definitely a fair amount of stuff that is newly renovated. So even if the foundation itself is older, they fixed any challenges there are with that. They have new walls, new roof, a lot of those things. So it is possible to find stuff that's brand new, renovated. And you'll see here as I'm driving through Hapeville that there is definitely stuff that's been fixed up. So yes, there, depending on your price range and what you're interested in, what you're looking for, older stock in terms of housing can definitely be a challenge, but it is possible to find newer stuff there. So just something to keep in mind as you're looking if Hapeville is an area that's interesting to you. Now, it's definitely family friendly. There's lots of cute little parks and green space. I always feel like when I drive through there's always people outside. And I really enjoy that. So the school ratings can vary, but there's definitely a lot of community built around the schools. You're also close to one of the top private schools in the state of Georgia, which is the Woodward Academy. So you have that as an option as well. So there's definitely quite a few things, different organizations and so on that really help create a nice community feel and lots of outdoor space and so on in Hapeville. Now, moving on to number 6 going back to the schools. So there are definitely going to be school districts for public schools that have higher ratings, being completely honest. And so if that's like a top priority for you, Hapeville may not necessarily be the best area. You may want to consider other areas. So if you're like trying to balance out commutes to the airport and school districts, like that's a question you're going to have to answer, right? Because Hapeville, you're right there. That commute, non-existent. But the schools, they vary. And so you're gonna have some schools that are rated quite high and some schools not so high. So that's definitely something that you're gonna wanna keep in mind. Now, another thing that you wanna keep in mind in terms of what's working in Hapeville, what's a pro, is it is growing. There is a lot of development. I pointed out the new construction. That's not the only new construction that's happening there. There's just so much money right now going into Atlanta in terms of catching up with the housing shortage and new construction and updating the area, updating infrastructure. And so Hapeville is definitely getting a lot of that. You'll see a little bit of a rise happening in property values, which, you know, that's not a bad thing. We want a little bit of equity in our homes, and there are economic opportunities as the airport continues to grow and develop. And so that's, you know, a positive thing. On the downside, now you're gonna have some concerns around gentrification and people being priced out. What I am seeing in Hapeville, as well as some surrounding areas like East Point, College Park, is an effort to offer either financing or purchase opportunities, and there's a video coming on this, purchase opportunities for people who are within a certain average median income. And so that AMI will impact your ability to get certain loan products or to purchase certain pieces of property. And so there definitely, and there should be concerns about gentrification, because everyone should have the opportunity to live comfortably. It's always good to kind of see that balance. And so it's just something to be aware of, that is happening. And if you become a resident of Hapeville, it's something you can work towards by being involved in your local community. On the yay side is, I know I pointed out earlier that there's maybe not a ton of unique local, or not a lot of places to eat out, but it's growing. And some of the places are really, really cute. Like there's one particular little bar called Break Pad, which is such an adorable name. And it's a fun little spot that I've been to with friends. And it's very chill, very nice, the kind of place where, you know, it can be your cheers, where everybody knows your name. So you can definitely get that kind of vibe. There's lots of that, where it's like mom and pop, not a chain, locally owned, really nice feel sorts of spots. And that's growing. There's definitely a lot happening in and around that. And that really adds, I think, a lot of atmosphere and community feeling and vibe. Now, we're kind of seeing, you know, where maybe some green space is decreasing because it's being developed. And so that's definitely something that you want to keep in mind too, that the area is kind of changing a little bit in terms of green space and how much there is. But Atlanta's always been really good about parks. And again, remember, Atlanta is the city in the forest. So if we lost that, I think everybody would be very, very sad. So I wouldn't say parks are going away, but just keep in mind that with some of the development happening in Hapeville, we are losing a little bit of green space. Number 9 is access to major highways. I kid you not, in Atlanta, this is a big deal, guys. Like being close to 75, 85, 285 is right there, obviously close to the airport. So that's really nice in terms of highways. That's awesome. I think that's such a positive, just makes access to other parts of the Atlanta metro area much easier. So big fan of that. However, on the not so exciting side, number 9 for downsides is gonna be there's limited public transportation. The MARTA station, the last MARTA station is like, it goes by Hapeville, but you're not gonna have as much access to that as maybe in other parts of the city. So MARTA is definitely still an option, and we talked about MARTA in another video. That's the Metro Atlanta Regional Transit Authority, and it is available to you. You can't catch a bus, but you're maybe a little more limited just because Hapeville is like just off of like the main MARTA path. But light rail is increasing. There's more investment going into that kind of infrastructure as Atlanta grows. So fingers and toes crossed that we'll see some more development there. Now, next up that we want to talk about is Hapeville's pretty chill. Like it does, and that's my number 10 pro. It's a peaceful place. Like I feel comfortable parking and walking there at night as a young woman, solo woman. I'm young. Don't get it. I know I said I was old before, but we're just gonna ignore that. I'm young. It's safe, it's quaint, it has a nice vibe. So I definitely really enjoy that. And I guess I have a number 11 because I feel like I didn't really talk about this one, economic growth. So I always want to say hi to my car nerds because I have a lot of car nerd friends. Porsche US headquarters, based literally right there. See, there's Porsche. Delta is based there. And so those are 2 huge employers on top of the airport and all the other airlines that really attract a lot of business in and around that area. So you're not dealing with like a dying part of town. Like Hapeville there's energy, we're booming, we're growing, y'all. Like things are happening. it's definitely a spot you want to be in. So again, if Hapeville's somewhere that you're interested in, it's an area that I really enjoy. I'm happy to talk to you more about it. Let me know what are your thoughts on Hapeville. After you saw a little bit of this video, we've talked about some of the pros and cons. Share with me what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe so I can share my knowledge of Atlanta real estate with more people. Always happy to help, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.